The most common question we get all the time through customer service is questions about training aids. And the reason is there are so many different training aids out there, and it's hard to figure out which ones are good and which ones aren't. Well, I've got a little secret for you. My typical response when I get asked about this training aid or that training aid is that, honestly, it's junk. Save your money. Training aids in general miss the boat by a mile because they're always focusing almost exclusively on what the club is doing and not about what's actually moving the club. The club by itself is completely useless unless your brain sends a signal to a muscle that tells it to contract, which moves bones at the joint, which then moves the golf club. It's not the other way around. The golf club does not move the body. And so most training aids that if you ask me if it's focusing on the club and you ask me if it's any good, unfortunately I'm going to tell you no, because you're not going to learn anything that way. This is the quagmire that you've been stuck in your whole golf career, is worried about what this golf club is doing first instead of worried about what your body's doing that's making it do the wrong things. So from training aids perspective, there's very few that I recommend, but hands down the #1 training aid by a mile that we've sold probably 10 to 1 over every other training aid we've ever had is the Rotary Connect. Why is that? 2 reasons. 1, it's really stupidly simple. And 2, it works because it actually focuses on teaching you how to move your body. And when you put those 2 things together, you've got a winner for a training aid. So today what I want to talk about is how it helps you with your arms and your body. And this is the #1 thing that most golfers get completely lost on, is they're so fixated on moving that golf club that they move everything, they initiate the swing with the force of movement from the arms, and as soon as you do that, you instantly make everything out of sync with your big muscles. So this training aid is going to help you understand how to fix that. And so the best way to start is with the arms. Put the arm cuffs on, and then what I want you to do is slide it up to your chest where the bar is actually touching your chest. So the arm cuffs are going to be pretty high. The reason I want you to do this and put it up this high at first is that as you're swinging the club, if you start swinging your arms across your body, you're going to see the bar is going to move across your chest and you're going to feel the cuffs pushing your arms. And most people, because they push from the left side, tend to swing their arms across their chest, and it feels really funky when you have this on. So as you have this across your chest, what I want you to focus on is moving the bar. That's right, this piece right here in between the 2 cuffs. What you're going to do is focus on moving that bar instead of anything else. Don't worry about your arms, don't worry about your hands, don't worry about the golf club. Move the bar. And so when you think about moving the bar, it simplifies the entire confusion that goes around turning your body. Do I tilt my shoulders? Do I do this? Do I pull my shoulder blade back? Do I push to the left side? All these things that create confusion for golfers. If you just focus on taking this bar and rotating it away from the target with your chest, you're going to do almost everything perfect. I'm going to pull with my right shoulder blade, I'm going to use my obliques, and I'm not going to push my arms across my chest because I want the bar to stay exactly where it started. So as I go back and I put the club into play here and I focus on moving the bar, the takeaway is a piece of cake. Club goes exactly where I want it because I'm not worried about moving the club. I'm leaving everything exactly the same and turning the bar with my chest. I'm keeping it touching my chest. Now, this is perfect for little 9 to 3 drills that everybody should start with when you're working through the rotary swing drills and you go up to hitting balls. 9 to 3, you don't really set your wrists. You stop parallel to the ground, shift your weight, come back to impact, and release. Now, as we do this with the Connect, as I come through at impact, the bar is going to be right back where it was at address, and as I release, it's going to open up about 45 degrees to the target. This is the perfect 9 to 3 move, which is going to teach you 90% of everything you need to know about the golf swing. Now, what happens when you want to go back a little further? Well, with the Connect, things are going to move a little bit, so I focus on turning my chest during that initial stage of the takeaway. The bar is moved, and now from here, my arms have to elevate and move the bar away from my chest. Now technically, there's a little bit of elevation during the takeaway, but it's not a lot. And most people tend to kind of overdo it, so I don't emphasize it a lot. But as you're going back now, as you begin to finish getting all the way to the top, the bar is going to rise, and you'll notice that it's moving a little bit to the right of the center of my chest. If you take your Connect and you draw a line in the center of it, it'll help you kind of keep the relationship of the Connect to your chest. So as you go back, you'll know if you've moved it way across your body. But otherwise, kind of eyeball it and see that as you go to the top, your arms are still in front of your chest. The best way to check that is that the right elbow is in line with the right shoulder. You can go a little bit behind it, but we don't want to see this big flying elbow. That's when your arms are going to come out of the cuff. And that's what this is going to really help you start feeling, is that when you start really wanting to lift your right arm up like so many of us do to get a lot of power feeling into our swing, and that's where we get the dreaded flying right elbow and we get stuck coming down or come over the top. As this arm cuff is in here and you're trying to actually keep pressure with your right bicep on the inside of the cuff instead of what we want to do, which is pull it away and move to the outside of the cuff, that's what makes this training aid so effective, is it allows your arm to physically come out. So as you start doing this quick and you start really ripping your arm out, it's going to come out at the top. So going back, the big things to key in on are turn the bar, and then as you go to the top, make sure your right elbow stays in front of your right shoulder and you're not pushing against the club or the bar with your left arm. Now as you come down from here, things are going to be much the same. The first thing that you're going to key in on is getting your arms back down in front of your chest. Now that's going to happen when you shift your weight and keep your arms relaxed, but there's a little bit of arm work here to help. And the first thing you're going to key on is getting the bar back touching your chest. You went from away from your chest to back to your chest, and now as you come through and release, it's going to work through at impact back where it was at address. So you can check it. If you look different, you start all of a sudden, then way different than you did with your upper body at address as you do at the impact, now we know we've done something crazy with our arms. But if you get back to where it's very similar, the bar's back in front of your chest and you get to the release point, everything's going to be golden. So when you're working on your backswing, make your life simple, because if you put this on, you don't have to really think about what your arms are doing, because you're going to immediately know when you do something wrong. So as far as training aids go, Rotary Connect, best bang for your buck.